This is the second video for dividing polynomials. We have been working on this for a couple of days now in class, and what you're seeing on your screen right now, this is the notes that we've taken over the past 2 days. So the first day we focused on some monomial division, dividing a polynomial by a monomial, but we began our notes over long division of polynomials. And so we went through the steps of how to do long division, and I told you that this would be a great place to go if at any time you got stuck when you were at home working. So I just want to go back and review these notes. So when you are dividing polynomials using long division, the first thing that you want to do is write your dividend and divisor in standard form. Remember, standard form is writing that in order from highest exponent down to your constant, so highest to lowest degree. So here my dividend is 6x squared plus 17x plus 20, and that's in standard form because it's going from a square to something to the first power and then to my constant. My divisor, that's the number that you're dividing by. So in this case, 3x plus 4 is written in standard form because it's x to the first and then your constant. So that's step 1. Step 2 is to put placeholders with 0 coefficients for any missing powers of the variables. So in the example that we did on that day 1, we didn't have anything missing. But on day 2, we talked about that missing term. So like if there wasn't an x in my dividend, I would put a 0x right here as a placeholder so that when I'm doing my division, I can have everything lined up. Step 3 is to perform that long division, just like you would if you were dividing integers. So the steps that we kind of wrote down for you to remember are divide, multiply, distribute, and negative. So what I mean by that is, if you look here, we have 6x squared, and I divided that by 3x. So I asked myself, how many times does 3x go into 6x squared? Well, it goes in 2x times. And that's where I came up with this number right here. Okay, so that's your divide part. Then it says multiply. So I multiplied 2x times 4, and I got 8x. And then 2x times 3x is 6x squared. So that's the multiply part. Then I distribute a negative. So that's how this became negative and this became negative. That's what makes my first terms cancel, and then 17x minus 8x is 9x. Then I brought down my 20, and the whole process starts over again. So I asked myself, how many times does 3x go into 9x? Well, 3x goes into 9x 3 times. And that's where that number came from. Then I multiplied. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 3x is 9x. Last, distribute a negative. And that's where I got 8. That first term cancels, and 20 minus 12 is 8. Then I used my remainder up here. So the 8 goes in your numerator, and the number you divided by, your divisor, goes in your denominator. And so that gives me my answer. Okay? And that was step 4, how to write a remainder. Okay? All right, so this was where we started. This is just the beginning of the process, and obviously we practiced this a lot in class, but some of you are still struggling. So make sure if you're still struggling that you use your notes to help you. That's why you take notes. We don't just take notes in class just to have notes. It gives you something to refer back to when you're on your own at home. I just want to make sure that everyone had a chance to get the notes written down. We were working together, and for the most part, everyone seemed good. But just in case, this is what we did on day 1. So we focused on dividing by a monomial, which, remember, when we did this, you guys were like, oh, this is so easy, because you just take each of your terms and divide by your monomial, and that's how you get your answer. Then we moved into a binomial divided by a binomial. So this is where we started that long division process. And then we moved into a trinomial divided by a binomial. And so that added that extra step. After you brought down, you had to do that process again. Okay, so this was our day 1 notes, and then we picked up on day 2 with number 10. So what I'd like to do now is I would actually like to talk about 2 problems that are on your homework. So I gave you a homework assignment. It is titled 7.4 Practice A, and it asks you to complete it on notebook paper, and you're only doing the circled problems. So you circled numbers 1, 2, 3. Those are monomial division. Then you circled 5 and 6. Those are binomial division. And then we did 7, 10, 11 and 12, 13, 16, and 21. So 7 and 10 and 13 and 16 are like this, the polynomial long division. 11 and 12 are what I'm about to talk about right now, and then 21 is long division, but you are looking at someone else's work and finding their mistake, okay? So it's a good mix of what we did in class. Let's go ahead and look at number 11 and 12. Those are some application problems. Okay, so if you look at the instructions here, it says write an expression that represents the length of the figure. Okay, so what they've done here on number 11 is they've given me a rectangle, and they've told me my area. My area is 8x squared plus 2x minus 15. They've also given me my width, and they're asking me to find my length. So if you think about that, well, we know that area is length times width. So if I know A and I know W, how can I find L? Well, I need to get L by itself, so wouldn't I just divide the area by the width? And that would give me my length. So that's what I'm going to do. So my problem would be 8x squared plus 2x minus 15 divided by 4x minus 5. So from here, we're going to do our long division. So we're asking ourselves, 8x squared divided by 4x is what? It makes 2x. Then I multiply 2x times negative 5, and I get negative 10x. And then I'm going to multiply 2x times 4x, and I get 8x squared. Then I distribute the negative. That makes my first terms cancel, and then 2x plus 10x is 12x, and I'm going to bring down my negative 15. Then I ask myself, does 4x go into 12x? And the answer is yes. It goes in 3 times. So now I multiply 3 times negative 5, which is going to give me negative 15, and 3 times 4x is 12x. My last step is to distribute a negative, and I notice that 12x minus 12x cancels, and negative 15 and 15 cancel, which tells me that the length must be 2x plus 3. Okay? All right, now let's go ahead and look at number 12. Now number 12, they've given me a rectangular prism, so I notice that there are 3 dimensions here. But it's a similar setup. They've given me the volume, and I'm looking for the length. Well, they gave me the width and the height. So if you're, not aware, volume is length times width times height. So I know the width and the height and the volume. So to get L, I need to multiply first. So see how I have to do W times H? Then I'm going to divide into the volume. Okay, so I'm going to do 3 times x minus 2, and that's going to give me this part. So that's 3x minus 6. Now I'm going to take that value, so I'm taking 3x minus 6, and I'm going to divide that into my volume, which is 9x squared plus 3x minus 42. So I'm going to start the same way I started before. So I need to know what is 9x squared divided by 3x. Well, that would be 3x. Then I multiply. 3x times negative 6 is negative 18x. 3x times 3x is 9x squared. Then I distribute the negative. Those cancel, and that's going to leave me 18, 19, 21x. And I bring down my negative 42. Then I ask myself, how many times does 3x go into 21x? Well, it is going to go in 7 times. 7 times negative 6 is negative 42. 7 times 3x is 21x. And then I need to distribute the negative. Those cancel and those cancel, which tells me that my length must be 3x plus 7. So that's going to give me L. Okay, if you're having any problems with polynomial long division, please make sure you come in and get some help. And you guys have a fantastic evening.